Okay, good afternoon. Thank you very much. The lights are very bright, so it's actually quite hard to see if there's anybody in the room. But that won't stop us talking at all, just if there's nobody there. We'll talk to each other. As I say, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us for this panel discussion on literacy and numeracy and some of the ways in which tools and technologies are being developed to support that area. And I'd like to just set the scene a little bit for our speakers, really to try to scare them about some of the questions we might ask later. I'd like to put a little bit of pressure on them. And really what I wanted to talk about was how technology in itself, in many, many countries, is not the whole solution. That actually the development of capacity to implement that technology is critically important. And over the last couple of years, I was fortunate enough to do a little bit of research on the use of technology in low and medium income countries, particularly to support literacy. And we found a number of things which really are important when we then talk about the apps and the technologies. One of the things was to make sure that accessible and assistive technologies were adequately supported with accessible content. Making sure that we offered choices and solutions. And really importantly, effective implementation of technology was done best within a framework of universal design for learning. Dropping technology into classrooms without changes in teaching practice did not have the impact that we all hoped. And we very much found that inclusive models didn't just have the greatest impact on literacy and numeracy, and this is the one for policymakers, they offered the best value for money. Because they ensured that the initiatives reached the greatest number of users. And inclusive initiatives, such as Born Accessible, incurred only marginal costs to meet the needs of a wide range of learners with a disability and additional needs. So I want to stress when our colleagues are talking, they're explaining the apps and the technologies that they're bringing forward. I want to ask them all the way through to be thinking and talking about how do we ensure that the power of this technology can be used within the widest range of settings? What needs to be done to create a fertile environment in which these seeds can be based? In the physical environment, I was in Nairobi recently, and somebody was talking to me about wheelchairs. And they said it's really important that we get good quality wheelchairs in Kenya. But it would also be nice if when you're being pushed in one, if you weren't taking your life in your hands because the sidewalks were covered with cracks, breaks, trees, bits of concrete, and so on. The environment needed to be receptive to the use of the assistive product. And the same is true when we go on to talk about literacy and numeracy. We need to look at the comparative return on the investment in these technologies. Too often, we saw initiatives which were based around bringing dedicated devices into countries where the cost of those devices was not scalable, it was not sustainable. And the importance in the research around open technologies and resources to maximize investment was found to be very important. That investment needs to be sustained. So with that, all of those thoughts in mind, and if you have any comments on those later, we'll pick those up. Let's start off with our first speakers, María and Francesco, from ONCE. I'll let you introduce yourselves and make a start on your presentation. Press the red button.
Good morning. Guten Tag. Buenos días. My name is Ángeles Lafuente. I work in ONCE, ONCE. And my partner?
Hello, I'm Francisco Martínez. I also work for ONCE. We have here written ONCE Foundation, but that's a different part of the organization. She's really the star here today. She's been working with the project we are going to present to you. She's into the educational field. I'm here only for support, and I hope you enjoy our presentation.
I'm going to show you a tool called Brailletico, Literacy and Learning of the Braille Reading and Writing System. Brailletico, 3 words, Braille, from Braille, TIC, in Spanish, ICT, and O from ONCE, ONCE, National Organization of Spanish Blind Persons, an organization to improve the quality of life of persons who are blind or have a severe visual impairment by providing social services aimed at their full inclusion. We have 5 educational resources centers and 23 support teams that collaborate with education authorities to contribute to the inclusion of 99% of the blind and visual impairment students that attend ordinary schools and follow the official curricula. Through the Spanish Braille Commission, we did extensive research on the didactics of the Braille system and on how to improve the inclusion of our pupils in ordinary schools. The result is Brailletico. The theoretical background of Brailletico is published by ONC in 2015. Didactics of Braille Beyond the Code, New Perspectives on the Literacy of Students with a Visual Disability, a program for learning to Braille reading and writing system, aimed at all students, especially those with a visual impairment. Principles: new, inclusive, accessible, innovating, motivating, and flexible method. The objective is meet the needs of the educational community, students, teachers, families, and centers with recourse and accessible and inclusive software tool, books, Braille and ink print, games, and activities. Objectives of Brailletico contribute to the inclusive education model, promote positive emotions towards Braille, use of ICT, accessibility of all materials, adquire functional reading and writing skill, following the laws of neurodidactics, meet the psychopedagogical needs of the student, and produce a flexible and versatile method, simple, attractive, inclusive, accessible, and motivating. It's a free method, downloadable from the ONCE Education website at education.once.es. 4 modules. Module 1, Manitas, Little Hands, Pre-Braille, skills for 0 up 24 months old babies. The objectives are raise interest in exploring the world and provide experience, body schema literally, motivation towards Braille, sensorial, person, haptic, tactile, communication, and language. Módulo 2, Apunto, Ready, Pre-Braille, 2 to 4 years old. Objectives: beginning of intentionally learning, contains phonological consensus, manipulate competencies, pre-formal braille, bimanual coordination, cognitive development, and use of ICT. Module 3, Brailleo, 5 to 7 years old, more or less. Objectives: teaching of the Braille code, functional for communication and learning, control of writing language in Braille as its functionality with precision and speed, increase to exposure to Braille at school using motivation materials. And at last, Module 4, Super Braille 4.0, 8 to 12, 13 years old, efficiency and ready competencies, fasten the Braille reading and writing process, precision, speed, specific sign tables, music, foreign, science, study techniques, ICT, functionality of the code. Next steps, 2, important. Develop Braille for persons with deaf blindness, and develop Braille for adults with acute blindness. And now, we short video about Braille, please.
Could anyone play the video for us, please, technicians? We need to click on the link there.
We were so close to having that video then.
They need to escape out if the presentation views half
Yeah.
the screen.
Okay, well, I'm going to just maybe carry on with what you wanted to say, and we'll watch the video at the end of what you want to say.
Yeah.
Just whilst the AV folks sort that out. Carry on with your talk, or is that the end of your...
That was the end.
That's the end. Oh, okay. Well, are we going to get the video? Somebody from AV wave at me.
Okay.
The link doesn't work. Okay, that's going to make it a lot more difficult. Okay, we'll see if we can get that sorted out. Okay. Thank you very much for that. A really interesting start. We're going to continue with that theme around Braille and alternative format for literacy and numeracy. I'm going to ask Josie if she would like to speak next for us. And can we have the clicker? Just pass that down.
I'm going to help with the link, okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I just need to put it onto the first slide, but it's not moving. No. Okay, we can start. My name is Josie Howse, and I represent the Royal Institute for Deaf and Blind Children, and it's known as RIDBC. RIDBC is an Australian charity that was established in 1860 and provides education and therapy services for children and adults with vision or hearing loss and their families. The project UEB Online. In 2013, RIDBC established a research team to develop a free, online, self-paced and self-marking Braille training program using Unified English Braille. This decision addressed 3 global challenges identified by the World Blind Union, namely, 1, the chronic shortage of teachers qualified to teach Braille. 2, Braille not included in teacher training programs or offered by education systems in many countries. And 3, the high cost of Braille equipment, especially in low-income countries. The target audience for the Braille training programs includes educators, parents and families, allied health professionals, Braille teachers, Braille transcribers, and education administrators. Basically, anyone who supports children and adults who learn by touch. To date, the programs consist of 2 Braille literacy modules covering contracted and uncontracted Braille, and 2 Braille mathematics modules covering primary and junior secondary mathematics. Innovation, inclusive digital technologies. The project team selected use of a standard computer, a PC or Mac, with an internet connection for lesson completion by subscribers. The team incorporated accessible, inclusive digital technologies in the coding of the online Braille and print lesson and exercise content. When new subscribers visit the UEB online website, they are requested to create a profile and personal password, which enables them to work through the Braille lessons at their own pace from any computer, saving their work as they go. By basing the programs on accessible digital technologies, the content is accessible to both sighted subscribers and those with vision impairment or other print disability. Program access options for sighted subscribers are regular or high contrast print, and for subscribers with vision impairment or other print disability, screen readers and refreshable Braille displays. Innovation program content. Lesson design included creating a digital Braille cell consisting of 6 keys on the standard computer keyboard. The print to Braille and Braille to print exercises involved the pressing of different combinations of the 6 keys on the keyboard to create the various Braille letters, numbers and words. Before commencing the lessons, new subscribers are required to complete an online keyboard check, as not all computer keyboards allow for the simultaneous pressing of multiple keys. Subscribers receive instant feedback when an error is made during exercise completion and must correct each error before they can continue. In this way, subscribers progressively build their Braille knowledge and mastery of the content. The UEB online website includes a help email address that connects subscribers directly with the project team. The website also includes a wealth of online resources and common questions and answers. The impact. The global uptake of the UEB online Braille training programs has exceeded our expectations. The first UEB online program was launched in May 2014, and we commenced recording subscriptions in July of that year. Between July 2014 and December 2019, there have been 17,800 subscribers from 197 countries. These subscribers have completed approximately 659,000 sessions, with each session lasting approximately 14 minutes. Considering English is not the first language in many of the 197 countries, we assume that UEB Online is being used to support English teaching programs in schools and workplaces for persons who are blind. Another positive outcome has been recognition by the World Braille Council of the impact of the online Braille training programs in addressing the global shortage of Braille teachers. In 2018, the World Braille Council passed a resolution promoting development of similar online Braille training programs for other languages. Parent feedback. I've now got a video. If someone could just click on the centre indicator in the middle of the slide.
Online is a very exciting project. It's a world first. So it's an interactive, self-paced, self-marking Braille training program.
As a family, we needed a way of being able to connect with Charlie via his homework, to make sure educationally he was sound. We couldn't do that unless we knew Braille ourselves. So UEB Online allowed us to be able to learn Braille in a relaxed way that was free, that was completely accessible because it was on a laptop.
I decided to start using UEB Online because it's so accessible. You can use it any time of the day, and no matter where you are, you can just hop online. You can use it while you're in bed or at work or laying on the couch.
UEB Online supports families of children with vision loss because it provides the parents and the siblings with an opportunity to learn Braille in their home, in their own time. And by learning Braille, they're able to interact with their children. They can write notes, Christmas and birthday cards in Braille. They can help their children with their homework. Their child can show them their work, and the parents can actually read and write a little Braille note saying, well done. And I think it's really important for parents to be able to speak the same literary language as their children.
Financing the sustainability and the challenges. Development of the online Braille programs was made possible by funding from RIDBC with financial assistance from several Australian foundations and charitable trusts. RIDBC offers online completion certificates for a fee of $50 Australian. These funds ensure the sustainability of the programs as the fees collected are used for ongoing program administration, website maintenance and support for subscribers. One challenge for the design team has been ensuring that subscribers using screen readers are able to understand the more complex Braille code representations of mathematical expressions. A second challenge relates to variability in the different brands of refreshable Braille displays, as some Braille displays are less compatible with the Braille training programs than others. We are hoping these incompatibilities will be resolved in the coming years. The next steps. The project team is currently working on the Senior Secondary Mathematics Training Program, which should be released in the first half of 2020. RIDBC is looking into expanding the online Braille training programs to include the STEM subjects of science, engineering and technology. We have also commenced discussions with the International Council for English Braille regarding development of an online Braille examination and certificate of attainment. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to our first two speakers who have stayed exactly to time. I'm impressed. This is not something I am capable of doing whatsoever. But we started by looking at Braille, and we moved that into the discussion around people with multiple impairments. We're now going to turn our attention a little bit more towards support for those who are deaf or hard of hearing. And Juan, delighted to let you introduce your project. Ready?
Hello, my name is Juan López Maccio, and what you see here, this is Beatrice, my deaf grandmother, and my daughter Isabella. She's also deaf. You see? This number doesn't show their age, no. They illustrate the big difference that I want to tell you about. Beatrice was born, she comes from a hearing family who had never had contact with deaf people or with sign language. Her doctors tried to cure her problem, and the teachers used the spoken language to teach. And even more, they banned it in the classroom because otherwise she would not learn to speak. 95% of deaf children, like my grandma, grow up in a world full of barriers to communication, expressions, access to information and culture. On the other hand, 5% of deaf children like Isabella, and this is a bit also my own story, have deaf parents. Isabella is 2 years old, and since she was born, she had the opportunity to communicate in sign language with her family, to participate in family conversations, to access the world and knowledge, and to be part of the deaf community. Patrice didn't know the children's stories. Nobody ever had read The Ugly Duckling to her. Isabella, instead, from a very young age, already knows who is the white swan. Literature connects us with language, with the possibility of producing and expressing ideas, emotions, and perceptions about the real or imaginary world. It broadens the universe of senses and interpretations, links us with narration, metaphors, imagination, creativity, and fantasy. From early childhood to old age, our lives are woven by words that build stories. Literature allows us to live other times, other characters, other customs, know other worlds, other geographies, human problems. Knowing others, we know ourselves. That's why literature transforms us. When we read with others, we share our emotions. It's a way of bonding with our family, our friends. We never stop telling, as in the stories of the books. I am part of Canales, an NGO in which since 2003 a team of deaf and hearing people work so that deaf children have access to quality education. We do so through the elaboration of educational materials in sign language, workshops in schools led by deaf adults, trainings of teachers and deaf leaders, and promotion of reading. In 2011, we created video books, Videolibros, the first online platform of books read in sign language. Video books are read by deaf readers and have voice-over so that the deaf and hearing people can share the same stories. They are free to use and possible to download from internet in case there is no good connection. Video books uses long-standing technology, video and internet, to be applied to original causes. Reading in sign language versus narration from anywhere in the world. downloadable, oral language, written language, and sign language, animated images, deaf participation, deaf readers of different ages. Autonomy, the story I want as many times as I want. Different sign language of Spanish-speaking countries. Videolibros is an innovative project because such a big project requires the commitment of various partners. To achieve this goal, we have the support of many people and organizations, and national and international awards have recognized us. We need your support to keep growing and disseminating this project. We just communicate to the speaker that we need him to repeat. Videolibros has 59 video books available, and 5,000 people have looked at it in the internet. They access and download it, any video book that we have. UNICEF uses the Canales video books as a model for the development of accessible educational manuals for deaf people around the world. Today, Isabella, at 2 years of age, reads The Ugly Duckling. We want Isabella and the 32 million deaf children in the world to access literature. Children living in cities and in the countryside, older children and younger children, those who have deaf parents, and so those who have hearing parents. Everybody. It is Isabella's right. It is our right. And this is our website, where you can find all these books I've spoken about.
Thank you very much, Juan. It's actually a real pleasure for me personally. I was at the WISE Awards in Qatar, in Doha, in 2016, and sat with one of your colleagues who was introducing the project to me. And to see the scale and success of what you've achieved in the 3 to 4 years since then actually is really pleasing. It's always wonderful when you see how things come to fruition. So congratulations. Moving on, I want to introduce Hector Minto, who works for a small startup out of the US. You may have heard of them, one or two, you may even use their products. Microsoft and really let him talk about the work that's being done at Microsoft, who I think now are very much at the forefront of promoting access and inclusion through the use of technology. I'd be very interested to hear what you have to contribute. Thank you, Hector.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, David, and thank you, Zero Project. It's amazing to be back here. I think this is my 4th year. Look, I'm really pleased that the focus this year is on education. More globally, Microsoft's mission is to empower every person on the planet to achieve more, and that includes the 1 billion people with disabilities. Whenever we're talking to employers at universities, governments around the world, we really have to reinforce that this is not a niche topic. This is 1 in 6 of the global population. And the global population is going to increasingly be living with technology. How many of us survive without our phones on a daily basis? How many of us wake up with our phones underneath our pillows? Just me? Come on, please. Give me some love. Thank you. Come on. Right. So we all have a different relationship with technology. Now, if you're a teacher in a school and you start to realize that 1 in 6 of your students has a disability, you have to start asking yourself, how are we routinely being inclusive? And so one of the investments we're making at Microsoft is to train teachers around the world on assistive technology. Different countries are making different commitments as it stands. Where I am in the UK, we've committed to train 20,000 teachers on the use of assistive technology through our video training platforms. And that's a really important thing because we cannot keep teaching special educators about assistive technology. We all use assistive technology. There's also an incredibly important political point to make here, is that we get regularly told by teachers, including Robin on this slide, that students would rather go without than stand out. Now, that should all make us kind of stop in our tracks a moment. There is politics to disability, and if you feel that you have to do things a different way, you maybe don't want to do it in a social situation. And so we've really kind of started to investigate this phenomenon at Microsoft. Including the research. And we've got some stats here on the screen. 73% of teachers report working in classrooms with student reading levels that span 4 or more grade levels. Let's make that real. 70% of the American prison population have a reading age at grade 4 or lower. Okay? So when we are unable to include people in learning, in education, in reading, in literacy, the results to our general populations are serious, and we need to think about them. 52% of teachers in the US have English as a second language learning in their classroom. 72% of classrooms have special education students. 50% of instructional time can be lost by managing students who need assistive technology if it's not readily discoverable. One quick example of the technology that we're investing in is Seeing AI. Now, Seeing AI is an app for blind people. Now, I'm just going to leave that there for a second. It's an app that uses artificial intelligence to narrate the world around you. It recognizes faces, it recognizes handwriting, it recognizes text, and stop there again. Seeing AI can read text in 14 different languages offline just by hovering your camera phone over a piece of paper. Is it a blind tool? And this is where we have to actually have a conversation about learning and functioning. Now, if we think about that prison population again, if we were just to say to them, there's a blind app called Seeing AI, which if you get a letter from your parole officer, coming through your letterbox, you can hover your camera over it and it will read it to you. It no longer becomes a blind app. And unfortunately, we live in a world where we market products to certain audiences, but we don't necessarily think of the wider remit when these products are applied. So before I go into our investments in dyslexia and reading, I just wanted to stop you there to think more about general tech and how different audiences will use technology in different ways if they only know about it. Oh, sorry, I've gone backwards. So onto the immersive reader. The immersive reader started as a project in Microsoft amongst parents of children with dyslexia, employees at Microsoft, working with the local communities and NGOs, and they looked at reading notes, reading education materials. There is a tool called the immersive reader in all Microsoft products now that takes text in any format and reformats into your preferred format. Be that in terms of page color, text size, word spacing, splitting the words into their syllables, supporting the words with symbol representation, and it's all being essentially processed in the cloud. When we force text into the cloud, we can manipulate it, and that includes photographs of text. So we can take the analog world into the digital world and manipulate the text so that a diverse audience can read it. We are supporting more and more languages. We split Arabic words into their word types now. That's a new one. We are now supporting Gaelic as a language, Gaelic Irish. So at Microsoft, we obviously want to take these products truly global. And so we're working all the time to make sure that we can manipulate the text in more and more languages to reach out to these audiences who require text in different ways. There's a quick video playing here where we take the photo of the book. You'll see it isn't the best photo in the world, but then we send it to the immersive reader. This is on iOS or Android, and this is where we start manipulating the text.
Sylvia Stout.
Reading aloud.
Would not take the garbage out.
Changing the text size, putting different colors, highlighting the nouns, splitting the words into the syllables, and that piece of paper now looks completely different to a different reader. So when we think about these tools, I don't want you to think too much about the product, be it in OneNote, in Edge. I would encourage you all to put Edge on your phones, whether it's iOS or Android, and try this out. But these are features. Splitting syllables, changing text spacing, applying the Erlang colors for dyslexia, these are features. And these are features that are available to all software companies around the world building their products in the cloud. So we are seeing more and more education companies, education software companies, creating these tools or adding this tool into their software. So it's becoming a standard in education to put the immersive reader in place. My challenge to this audience and to governments in the audience, we can actually apply this to any text. So it shouldn't just be school where you see this. This should be on bank statements, government letters, government notices. We can do this with any text. So do dig in. Finally, just to wrap up, revisit Windows. We do emojis. We do word prediction. We do dictation across the whole of Windows and Office 365 now, so you can speak into your computer. All of these are investments in discoverability. As people start to see that these tools are just built into the tech that they would use anywhere, be it in their local library or in their local classroom or at home, what we're trying to say to people is you hopefully find it by accident. Yeah? You'll just spot that button. Now we're also making investment in maths, or math for my American colleagues in the room. It's maths, by the way. Sorry, I never resist that one. So we're using artificial intelligence now for people who are inking formulae and math sums, and then we're using artificial intelligence to show people how to solve these, okay? So we're using artificial intelligence to help people with it. This also works for screen reader users. So the read aloud in this will work. So it will actually speak mathematical formulae for people who are blind or low vision as well. Okay, live captions are increasingly everywhere, so you're going to start to see that subtitles start to appear in many different softwares. Again, that is available to all manufacturers around the world. I'll just wrap up with a quote from Marlee Matlin, a famous Hollywood actress who's a regular visitor to Microsoft. This really sums up where we're trying to go with this. In tomorrow's digital world, global digital world, no one should have to ask for access. It should just be there. Yeah? We want the mainstream manufacturers of tech all around the world to make sure that people with disabilities are in their design sprints, are represented in their businesses, and are impacting tomorrow's technology. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hector. I've known Hector for about 20 years, off and on.
It's the first time I've kept time.
It's the first time he's ever kept a time. I am shocked. Congratulations, Hector. There was just three things I wanted to pick up because I want to make sure we don't forget them. You said three things that I thought were really important. The development of building blocks for access, of creating tools that can be integrated into new tools, new solutions is really important. Making sure that developers and implementers are aware of those is critical, knowing that you can use Immersive Reader in other products. I also thought the point you made, which is sometimes forgotten when we're talking about education, is we cannot remove tools from people just because they have left school or moved into employment. The importance of what is available on demand within mainstream products is they do not get taken away. They follow the user. And can I just say, it was lovely to see an Arabic solution there. Hector knows this is a subject that is dear to my heart. And he and I have had some interesting discussions, despite my complete inability to speak Arabic, over the years about the importance of language. But that takes us, I think, really nicely into our final presentation. A number of years ago, in the mid-90s, I wrote a book called Maths for All. And mathematics has been an issue which I have found fascinating ever since. And despite its importance as a life skill and daily life, within education, within assistive technology, traditionally it has been poorly considered in comparison to literacy and communication. So I'm really delighted to introduce Torben, who I realized this morning, despite having read this on screen about 100 times, has a product, and I've worked out it's called Matilda. I could not get that for days. So thank you, Torben, and thank you for telling me that I did finally get it right. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thanks for having me. I am Torben Rieckmann. I am scientific assistant and also PhD student at the University of Hamburg. And I'd like to talk about maths lessons in school. Because the ability of dealing with numbers can give us the dignity of daily life. However, most learning material isn't particularly suitable for students with intellectual disability. And that's why we developed Matilda at the University of Hamburg. Matilda, based on basic research with more than 1,200 participants with trisomy 21, the Down syndrome. Our results are that people with Down syndrome process their environment differently. They process fewer things at once. And that is why most learning material isn't suitable for them. So we conducted another research, an educational design research, with people with trisomy 21 in the center of the research. And we cooperated with them. Together we created a new learning material, a new learning system called Matilda. Matilda uses, Matilda is available as free app, as learning cards, as you can see here, as wooden dice and as wooden learning material. And Matilda is an alternative to standard learning materials. It's accessible for people with trisomy 21 and for other students with intellectual disability. And it can be used for inclusive teaching. The heart of Matilda are the quantity pictures. Those quantity pictures are based on the distinction between 0 and 1. You can see the pictures here in the animation. This is 8, 9, 10, but let's see, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And you can see 2 cherries are always bundled together. And those bundles are arranged in a special way, so they can be, every quantity picture can be recognized without counting. And those quantity pictures can be reproduced mentally. They are accessible for people with intellectual disability. And they can help to solve arithmetical problems. Let's see a short video clip of a girl working, no, don't start please, of a girl with a trisomy 21. The girl uses the Matilda learning cards, and she already brought the number cards in the right order from 0 to 10, and now her task is to match the cards with quantity pictures.
Sorry.
We normally have subtitles. She said 2, 10,
Dann müssen wir die doch ein bisschen höher rutschen hier.
Ja, das reicht.
2 hatten wir und 10, ne?
We had 2 and 10.
Was ist das denn?
Das ist 9. Das ist
This is 9.
Das ist 0.
That's 0.
Hallo, wir spielen.
She'd like
Möchtest
to
du Memo
play
spielen?
pairs
Machen wir gleich. Dann, welches ist das?
with those cards.
6.
Und das hier?
Und kommt die Nummer 3.
Und die letzte ist die Nummer.
Kommt die 7.
Genau.
Okay, we talked about the subtitles, but as you could see, she didn't have to count those pictures. She just can say, this is 9, this is 8, this is 7, and so on. And she already learned the quantity pictures. And it's necessary to work with the Matilda app. The Matilda app is free. It's available in all common app stores, in the Microsoft Store, iOS App Store, Google Play Store, and so on. The app has 3 number ranges and can be used for addition and subtraction. On matilda.com you see videos on how to use the app. So the website is very important, so please visit it before you work with the app. Let's see a video of a boy working with the app and I will translate.
4 plus 5.
4 plus 5.
4.
4.
4 plus
4 plus
5.
5.
1,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
9.
9.
Oh, bist du gut?
Wow, I'm so good. Yes, indeed. The aims of Matilda are that children learn those mental images and develop those mental images of quantities, and that they learn to manipulate those mental images to calculate with it mentally. We have thousands of users worldwide. We got some awards for our project, and we got that's important, positive feedback from teachers, parents, and students themselves. And we have documented learning success. As you can see, we started 2015 with our project, and in 2018 we founded Good Teaching for Everybody. The original name is Guter Unterricht für alle. It's a social association, a non-profit association, and we founded it to make sure that Matilda is available all the time and that you can work with the app and order the materials. 2019 was a great year. We released Matilda 2.0, got 3 awards and over 10,000 downloads. We have so many ideas for the future. We would like to add speech support to the app, and we would like to create new accessible guidance for teachers on how to work with the app. And the biggest idea we have, my favorite idea, is a new app with intelligent level system. And we have many, many more ideas, but we need support to fulfill those dreams. So, if you are a teacher or a parent, talk with me or contact me or us about working with Matilda. If you are a delegate here on the conference, let's talk about bringing Matilda to your home country. And if you are a company or an investor, let's talk about joint projects. You can write me an email and you can find every information on matilda.com. And we have booth number 21, and we are only here for today, so please come today to our booth and get your free set of learning cards. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Thank you so much, and it is genuinely a pleasure to see that blend of virtual technologies with tangible objects for teaching. That basically, that's so clearly in teaching experience. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, I was a teacher. So with that thought in mind, I'm going to open things up to the floor. I should warn you that I'm really not a very nice person at heart. I think that's good for me. So we're going to be really strict to start off with in asking you to ask questions initially. If we then have time, I'll then open that up to let people make comments, to make statements, or to tell us about other projects, but that will be strictly limited to 1 minute per person. So we're going to start with questions. If you do want to ask a question, please wave vigorously so we can see you and get a microphone to you. Any questions for anybody on the panel or for all the panel? Over here, thank you, Hector. I can see a hand, keep waving.
2 hands.
2 hands, shake the head, yeah, that sort of thing. Have you got a microphone for over here?
I think you have a microphone on seat. On place. Oh?
On the desk in front of you.
Seat on, have you got a microphone in front of you there at the seat?
Press the button.
Yes, I do. Okay, it was that easy. Hello, my name is Kjell. I'm from Sweden. I've got a question for Canales. And I'm wondering if there was any problems with rights, intellectual property rights to the books to be able to do this.
Well, we're not changing the stories. We're taking the books as they are. We're just translating it into sign language. But we follow the text, so we're not changing any stories we're using. But it's important for us to show sign language and to use the structure and everything that sign language uses. But yeah, but it's the story stays the original.
Thank you for that. And I would just add to that comment the value of seeking out books published under open license and Creative Commons as artistic works, particularly where they allow you to create derivative works. So actually what you can do is you're given the license to create an alternate version of the same material. For those people who don't understand open licensing, please do look that up because it is very important in terms of production of accessible content. Any other questions? Again, lots of waving, please. He's got so much better eyesight than me. Where?
Right at the back.
Right at the very back. Have you got a microphone at the back you can use? Great, okay.
Okay, I am Antonio Martínez from Elche, Spain, and I have a very simple question to Mr. Rieckmann on Matilda app. And the question is, what to children of what age is this application mainly intended, and what ages have the children that use this application?
It's mainly made for children in the school age, but I myself start when the kids are 2 or 3 years old, and we just use the app for counting. No calculating or anything, just for counting. So you can try it with a 3-year-old kid. That would be no problem, but the best way is to use it with a school kit.
Maybe until 7 or 8 years of age.
I wouldn't wait so long.
No, I mean, you can use it from 3 years until they are 7 or 8 years of age.
Well, I use it for students which are 15 years old sometimes.
Awesome.
It all depends on their development.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Okay.
You have a microphone? Yep.
Thank you. I'm Leopoldine from Namibia. I have one question for Torben. I would like to know if Matilda is available to be downloaded wherever I am, and if so, on which website?
Thanks for the question. It is available in the app stores. So you can find it if you have an iPad in the App Store, if you have an Android tablet in the Play Store, or in the Microsoft Store if you have a Windows 10 system. And it's worldwide published. And we are working on a web app so that you can have access through the browser. But we are working on it, and the release will need some weeks from today. Thank you.
And thank you for that question, because you actually flag up one of my pet hates, which is developers who come and talk about products and don't release them into the stores globally, but only within specific markets, which is unbelievably frustrating when you're told something is available and could be useful to you, but it's not available within your country. So yeah, one of my pet hates, so thank you for that question. Other questions?
Is someone waving? A lady in the middle?
Yeah. Apparently there's a lady in the middle somewhere who's waving. If you've got a microphone, do ask. I can't see it. I'm completely useless at this.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi, David. This is Annie. Yeah, I have a question to Matilda regarding the app. Has there been any evidence-based practice to show that they can apply this into their daily life? It's not about a task that they are using.
So recently I'm a PhD student, so I'm writing about it right now. And about daily life, I can tell you about experiences I have and colleagues have when we work with children with it, that they can apply it in daily life. But there is no evidence yet I can present you.
Again, great question about the transference of skills into daily life, which of course is one of the aspirations we would have for any of the projects that we've talked about today and elsewhere. Can my spotters see any more hands?
Just here, near the centre.
Near the centre, says Hector. That's 4-1 to Hector now. Hector, in the centre somewhere.
Right in the centre.
Yeah, I can see a red light coming on.
Okay, my name is Hamis Said. I'm from Zanzibar, Tanzania. I have a general, thank you for the great presentations. I'm so much inspired by the presentations. My question, I think it can go to everybody, is how can we use this technology to reach the poor and the marginalized children in rural areas where the access to technology, access to facilities are limited? Thank you.
Great question. Hector, you can start this one.
I'd love to start this one. So I think there's a responsibility on everybody who is working in the field of philanthropy to start thinking about digital skills. Honestly, I really do. We see so many projects for schools being set up around the world by businesses who are investing in their corporate responsibility and their social ambitions, but they're not being deliberately inclusive of disability in those projects. So one thing that we're trying to work with our major customers around the world, and so if you think of Microsoft, pretty much every major brand around the world is using Microsoft technology and is doing philanthropic and corporate responsibility work. We're trying to make sure that we're creating those links with major businesses and employers and governments around the world to let them know about the investments we're making, and maybe if they can piggyback, sorry, is that hopefully jump on top of the investments we're making. One quick example, if you look at the work we've done on children who are blind learning to code with our Code Jumper program, that's sat there ready to go. But through Microsoft's standard business, we'll reach schools maybe, but we won't reach communities. Yeah. But when we look at the companies who are working in communities, like the banks, the employers within regions, please look at anything that we're doing and make those recommendations to the major employers in your area, and then we'll be very happy to jump in and support. Does that help?
That's great. Josie, is there anything you'd like to add on that issue? No? Okay, that's good. And Maria, anything from a Braille perspective?
The problem for exporting Braille Tico to other communities as of today is that it is limited to Spanish Braille.
Yeah.
That's one of the limitations. There's also the app component, which, you can use other materials, like, it has books and children books and things like that, and many activities to learn Braille, but there's also the app. If there is no technology to use that app, then the method gets only halfway. We could see that in the video, that would be possible.
We're going to try and finish with the video. I'm going to warn our AV team that I'd like to finish with the video just before our closing time. Anybody else like to add anything to that question? If not, I'm going to add 2 points. One is one I've made. Oh, there's one, sorry. Yep. Oh, sorry, couldn't see the hand.
You're absolutely right that the technology is already very far, but it's not always possible for everybody to use. So that's sure something we have to work on to make it transportable for everybody. So that, thank you for the help from the interpreter and back, so that it's possible to be downloaded to every device anywhere.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add a couple of things from experience in working in low and medium income countries. Too often, technologies are developed for the US and Western European market. Particularly, they're developed and only made available for iOS devices. One of the things that we found was really important for people to understand the huge penetration and use of Android phones and tablets in low and medium income countries, and that the scale and size of market within those countries is huge. The other thing which we talked about a lot was people giving away their product but not releasing it under open license, which allowed local communities to translate, customize and localize content to meet the needs of specific communities. So those two things together, understanding the infrastructure and understanding the need of localization, I think are incredibly important when we talk about how we get tools into the hands of people in some of the most marginalized and vulnerable communities. I think that's an issue which we should come back to again, over and over again. Any other questions or thoughts from the floor? I will open it up now if anybody wants to speak for 1 minute on an additional tool or product. I'll open that up for 1 minute talks now as well. Do you have a microphone at the back?
Okay.
Great.
I got the microphone. Thank you very much. My name is Bhaskar Bhattacharjee. I'm working with as a national consultant accessibility with Bangladesh government. I'm a person with blindness. So my comment is very, I'm working in to develop the assistive technology for persons with vision disability. One of the biggest challenges is we still don't have the high quality text-to-speech. Even though we are highly involved with the NVDA type software, but still it is very difficult for a person with vision disability to read local language like Bangla. So this is one challenge. Secondly, there is Marrakesh Treaty, which is adopted by WIPO. Still number of countries didn't ratify, including my country. So we need to work together to enforce this Marrakesh Treaty, then we will overcome these copyright issues. But one of the biggest challenges is that Marrakesh Treaty only talked about the blind people. Whenever we are talking about a sign language user or neurodevelopment disability, then there is no option to make the content accessible for them. So lastly, we have an innovation fund, which is given by our government. Anybody can come up with innovative ideas and awarded $30,000 to solve any of the problem which are exist for people with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And really good points. The point we made about building blocks of technology, that we cannot move the agenda forward without those building blocks, such as text-to-speech, being available in community languages. Otherwise, it's extremely difficult. That's as true of Braille as it is of sign language, as it is of text-to-speech. Any other thoughts from the floor? If not, in which case I'm going to close our session and ask us to get the video ready in just 1 minute. I just want to add two things in terms of the importance of building capacity to deliver all of these products. Teacher development to use the technologies that we've heard described, both low-tech and high-tech, is often limited to simply short training courses. We've heard today of examples of online and on-demand resources. Again, I would stress the importance of on-demand resource for training and personal development. But I would also stress the value of building communities of practice and allowing the private sector, the public sector, and the not-for-profit sector, including DPOs, to engage in those communities of practice to move the agenda forward. By working together, not only do we introduce, evaluate, but really effectively implement technology to promote access and inclusion. So I'm going to finish there and just ask if our AV team would play the final video, and then after that to thank all of our panelists and everybody on the floor for all of their contributions today. Thank you very much.
Es un nuevo método de alfabetización braille desarrollado por la ONCE que busca iniciar el aprendizaje, uso y disfrute de la lectura y escritura en este sistema desde la cuna de una forma sencilla, lúdica y natural. En esta nueva mirada hacia el braille, la tecnología cumple un papel fundamental. La ONCE implantará este método en todas las aulas en las que haya algún niño con ceguera o con discapacidad visual escolarizado que lo precise, lo que favorecerá su proceso de aprendizaje, inclusión y socialización, beneficiando también al resto de compañeros que entrarán en contacto y se familiarizarán con este código. Brailletico se divide en 4 módulos que recorren el desarrollo del menor desde la cuna hasta que tiene consolidada tanto la lectura como la escritura en braille, coincidiendo aproximadamente con el final de la educación primaria. Aunque todos los módulos tienen una edad orientativa de aplicación, lo importante es que el alumno cubra los objetivos de cada uno, independientemente de la edad a la que lo consiga.
Me llamo Javier y hoy he hecho muchas cosas.
El primer módulo se denomina Manitas y está pensado para niños de 0 a 2 años. El objetivo es despertar en los pequeños las ganas de conocer el mundo y de explorarlo a través del tacto, a la vez que se ejercita su desarrollo sensorial y cognitivo, así como sus habilidades comunicativas. El siguiente módulo es A Punto, pensado para niños entre 2 y 4 o 5 años, en el que el aprendizaje se hace intencional y los estudiantes descubren, entre otros elementos del entorno, los puntos característicos del braille y comenzarán a familiarizarse con ellos aunque no sepan aún lo que significan. Es en el tercer módulo que se inicia sobre los 4 o 5 años y dura aproximadamente hasta los 8, cuando se empiezan a trabajar con las letras, palabras y las frases. Esta fase, denominada brailleo, es en la que se produce la enseñanza de la lectoescritura como tal.
¡Oh! ¡Se te ha escapado esta ranita!
El proceso se culmina con Super Braille 4.0, un último módulo que va desde los 7 u 8 años hasta los 12 o 13 y cuyo objetivo es afianzar la lectura y la escritura en braille y dotar al alumno de recursos para que lo pueda manejar con eficacia, utilidad y placer en los distintos ámbitos de su vida.
Hoy he venido a enseñaros pues lo que es utilizar el braille o leer el braille.
Los 4 módulos cuentan con materiales de trabajo tanto para el alumno como para los profesores, un programa informático específico y otra serie de instrumentos diseñados para cada etapa del aprendizaje. En todo el proceso, la tecnología juega un papel fundamental, ya que permite favorecer la autonomía, la autoestima y la inclusión de los alumnos ciegos. En esta metodología, los escolares aprenden a utilizar tabletas digitalizadoras, de manera que interactúan con las láminas en relieve mediante un lápiz magnético que hace las veces de ratón, así como la línea braille, un dispositivo que permite leer en braille la información textual de la pantalla. Todo sin olvidar las máquinas Perkins, los libros y los apuntes en papel. Brailletico, un modelo didáctico que propone aprender la lectoescritura en braille de forma natural, consiguiendo la alfabetización de los escolares ciegos de una manera lúdica e inclusiva, que además les abre las puertas a la tecnología.
Me voy a quedar en esta, que es muy guay.
Thank you again. Thank you, everybody. Time to get some lunch. Thanks.